Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to another Based LDS video. And I think it's time to go through the comments. Some of you are leaving some really good stuff. And it looks like maybe I've picked up a troll or two, which is fine with me. I look forward to seeing what they have to say. And hoping that it's something substantial. Because I don't want just empty arguing. I want substantive dialogue. I want some pushback on what I say. And that includes from most of you who tend to like my videos a little bit more. Let me know what you like, what you don't. I want to know what your ideas are. And some of you guys have been great at responding. And so let's kick off the video by going at the Alan Parr and Mike Winger don't like Mormonism video. And so the oldest comment on there comes from Catherine. And Catherine says, I know about Winger and Parr. Marcus Rogers says other people's opinions don't validate your relationship with God. Scoffers are going to scoff. Haters going to hate. That's my version. I like yours, though. It's nicer. I'm going to stop responding to them on these message boards. And I say, good for you. And here's where Bueller Ferris, original, jumps in and replies to Catherine, and he says, ironic that you say other opinions don't validate your relationship with God, yet you will do anything a cult leader tells you to do. And I know this may be the earliest time Bueller Ferris has replied, but it's not the only time we'll hear from Bueller. And to Bueller, I say, prove he's a cult leader. Prove that Joseph Smith was a cult leader. Prove that President Nelson is currently a cult leader. I'd like to see you do it. I think there's some arguments out there. I don't agree with them. I don't think they're valid. But I want to see what you can come up with other than just pointing a finger and saying a name. Because until then, you're just one of those people who, to use a Book of Mormon image, is standing in the building without a foundation, laughing and pointing in scorn, until your building eventually collapses in upon itself. Let me see here. A. Colley replies, come to Jesus. He is the only living and true God. He is the only way. Are you not strong enough to stand with God on your own without your church? Why are you afraid of what will happen if you leave it? I don't need a church because my temple goes wherever I go. I have the Holy Spirit in me. Now that is part of the freedom Jesus gives. And then J. Cal replies, there's going to be some fire here. J. Cal replies, I was actually thinking about going to attend a church service at my old church until I realized I'd probably never make it to sacrament meeting on time due to the fact someone would probably jump on my leg and not let me leave until I'd been encouraged to know the real Jesus and not worship the false Mormon Jesus. And if it's not that it's my friend's wife doing her weird Children of the Corn face in addition to her subtle hidden Razor Mormon outreach nonsense. And then my aunt, who told me what I really believe, when the reality is I'm following the real Jesus of the Bible subject to the personal revelation I received. And if you want to be like the prisoners in Plato's cave, comprehending shadows, you're welcome to it. But you are a daughter of God and nothing will ever change that. Oof! That's one of those Batman power slaps right there, right? I like the Plato's cave reference. I wonder if that means you've already watched my Plato's video. This was 2 days ago, so you might have. And, that's the thing, right? We're always told we don't know the real Jesus. And if we would just open the New Testament, that's something we don't do, right? We don't open the Bible. We just listen to what Joseph said that the Bible is. Yeah, I'm sure people in the 1800s that were Bible literate and lived and died by the Bible, because there was no Book of Mormon at the time, or when it was brand new and being introduced. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't know the Bible either. Come on. These people, and And Collie, I thank you for replying, but honestly, I don't need a church because my temple goes wherever I go. Christ invited everyone to come unto him. And then in the New Testament, in Acts, before he was ascended for the final time, he authorized his servants to perform works in his name, organize a church, and to baptize in his name. Who will you go to with the proper authority to baptize you and perform the sacred rites and ordinances? If not Christ Church. You are more than welcome to go to the mountains and feel communion with God. You're more than welcome to sit on the beach, listen to the waves, and feel God's Spirit. You're more than welcome to. Those are all good things to do. But that's not how you come unto Christ. That's not how you develop a relationship with him. It's just feeling the Spirit, because that's just my feels. What are you actually doing to become a more Christ-like person? And then, my dear Lady Greentree, the church has been 8 days ago. The church has been trying to look for and emphasize what we have in common with other Christians in an attempt to achieve more unity. My natural woman would prefer that we emphasize and pride on how unique we are, but what do I know? And I'm kind of with you on that. And one of the apostles recently said in a general conference that in the last days, the believers in Christ will really need to unite with each other because things in the world will be so difficult. And that is absolutely true. I do think we should try and build ties with other religious communities, because we will be able to better withstand the hurricanes of adversity that come upon us. But I also agree, I don't think we need to hide who we are or deny our faith in order to build those relationships. And it's interesting, there's a Ravi Zacharias and I can see his face, I can't remember his name offhand, that both did a short video on having an apostle, and they don't name the apostle, but an apostle and the senior most doctrine specialist is how I think the other guy put it. But either way, that Bob Millett, Brother Robert L. Millett, a fantastic author of many great books, came and begged and asked for them to speak in our tabernacle that they might educate the saints. And they both soundly mocked it. They both went, they both spoke, and then they're like, and I went and I spoke truth to those people, and they knew where truth was going to be. And they mocked the apostles, and they mocked Brother Millett. Now, there are others like Mouw, M-O-U-W. I can't remember his first name. Richard Mouw, anyway, that Brother Millett has a relationship with. There are those who are sincere, but there are those who just want to show up to score brownie points. And that kind of thing just makes no sense to me. Makes no sense. All right, let's see. Let's move on to the next one. So this is reaction to God Loves Mormons. Let's see. 11 days ago, Bueller Ferris, you presented a very false dichotomy with the it's us versus the Catholics. They could both be BS, and they are. Now, my dichotomy was not it's us versus the Catholics. Again, I said, Christ had to give, if there's a church on the earth, Christ would have given his authorization. The Catholics claim authorization through Peter, that authority continued from Peter on. And you can look in the Bible and see where Jesus says, Peter, the rock, foundation, church will be built. But what the other churches did, the common modern Christian churches, your Lutherans, your Wesleyans, your Calvinists, you get the idea. They saw flaws due to biblical scholarship that were not being adhered to. And basically, they said, well, that's not right. We're going to form a more biblical church. But no one gave them authority. Now, their response would be, we have authority through Christ, solus Christus, or something to that effect, that you don't need a mediator. And that because of the Bible, they have the authority they need, sola scriptura, to the revelation that lets them preach and teach. But Christ never said it would operate that way. And they wrangle some scriptures, take them out of context in order to justify the creation of churches made in their names. So, again, it's because of authority that I say this. Not that there's not good things about these other Christian churches. There are. There are, without a doubt. But I don't recognize their authority. Let me see here. And then yet, not to mention, just in Mormonism, there are several groups, and they all claim to be successors of Joseph Smith and believe in the Book of Mormon. And yet many of those successors now deny the Book of Mormon. Many of those successors are not part of the modern Mormon LDS Church. They are splinter groups. And they're splinter groups just like there were from Catholicism. Right? The difference is, the people who are the members of the main Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as led by the prophet Russell M. Nelson today, they followed the body of the brethren. They didn't follow Sidney Rigdon or any of these others when they split off. They stayed with the brethren. And many of them stuck with Brigham because of what they witnessed at, where was it? When Rigdon tried to claim stewardship of the church, and there was the great outpouring of the Spirit, and many saw the mantle of leadership fall upon Brigham, to put it lightly. That might be something we go into later. He continues, Mormonism itself altered the temple ordinances so many times and took out entire covenants, so they do the same thing they accuse other churches of doing. Ongoing revelation, streamlining the process. No one rejects the Book of Mormon just because it testifies of Christ. We reject it because it's full of anachronisms. Entire pages are plagiarized from other books. It had so many corrections that go beyond just grammar passage. And yet, 99% of the corrections are punctuation and spelling? Copies of the Old Testament passage more. As far as what you said about nowhere in the Bible does it say there's no need for prophets, Hebrews 1:1 says very clearly, in the days of old, God used to speak through prophets, and in today he speaks through his Son. And yet, in Acts chapter 1, he authorizes the apostles to continue to act in his name and build his church, and they call a new apostle. If there's no need for new apostles, why not just keep the 11 and continue to preach as they are, and as they die off, so it goes. But instead, they replace the one that falls, and we know of continued replacement because Paul eventually becomes, as in Hebrews, an apostle. No. Again, that's the twisting and taking out of context. Not that I believe in Christianity either, but that verse alone refutes what it said. No, it doesn't. What you said about these things being foolish to the atheists, that's the only accurate statement you ever made. You don't know everything I've ever said. And clearly, you're not understanding what you're hearing in this video, Bueller. They are foolishness. The LDS Church is a man-made religion. Prove it. Make your argument. I'm on here making mine. Where's yours? You just want to state something and then not give it any backup. The Book of Mormon stole entire passages and stories from the late way and view of the Hebrews. Oh, heavens. Okay, we'll get into that sometime. It's scientifically proven that the Native Americans come from DNA, not Jerusalem. That sentence is word salad. I know what you're trying to say, but that sentence makes no sense. And you're making a gross exaggeration when you think that we're claiming that all Native Americans were Hebrews. That's a gross exaggeration. As far as I know, no one ever said that. I think maybe there were arguments made along those lines that we'll find, but no one has ever said every Native American. Come on, man. The endowment was stolen from Masonry, except I know Masons who would argue otherwise. The LDS Church is foolishness, and you're a fool for trying to defend it. Make valid points. Don't just spout something off from an anti-Mormon pamphlet. Give a substantive argument. If you'd like, we can talk about it on here. It will not be a debate because I don't believe in points for rhetoric. Make your case. Let's talk about it. You can't even defend it without refuting other Christians who can't defend their faith without refuting the Mormons. Y'all are in this very petty war. My refutation is that, for this particular video, God loves Mormons does not understand what a prophet is. And I was trying to show, and I think clearly, that there is a need for prophets, that they were never outmoded or out of date. And it's not a petty war. It's not even a war. I mean, they don't like us. We're okay with them. We just want the right to exist and believe as we want to believe without having them show up on temple property and picket. You don't see loads of Mormons standing in front of the Catholic Church or any Protestant church. Something's got their goat. But Bueller, I wish you well in the future. Come stronger. Come better next time, man. And then Samuel Saint Laurent, and he looks like he might be a new regular poster. Excellent points. I agree that a good counter for a false prophet would be a true prophet. And see, that's it, right? It always comes back to who's the true prophet. What are we going to do? And then the world and the prophets in Plato's cave. Let's see. Samuel Saint Laurent says, could you do a video potentially on just some of the common non-Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints lingo that the Christian churches use? And you know what? That's a great idea. We might share terms, but we have different ideas of what each term means. We might share lingo, but there are things I think that's uniquely Latter-day Saint, and I think there are things that are uniquely Christian that we don't share. And that might help with a better understanding. Because that's part of the problem with the left versus right divide politically, right? Is that the left changes definitions to move the goalposts. Anytime a sufficient argument arises to anything they say, they change the definition. Let's see. Then he says, again, Samuel Saint Laurent. And I hope I'm saying it the correct French way. If you say it's like Saint Laurent, then I apologize. But I like the French one. Samuel Saint Laurent. And then he says, excellent comparison. I'm very fortunate to have a fellow Christian that works in my office. We have the typical back and forth banter. I love how much it strengthens my faith in modern day prophets. I still don't see the evidence in the Bible saying you don't need organization in the church. I still don't understand as well when they speak of the Trinity. It's very simple in the Bible. Why would they need to come up with this new idea of the Trinity? Looking at Gospel Link, I found a lot of good papers on disputing the Trinity that had a lot of the same points I had on it, mainly that it doesn't read that way in the Bible. Is it really polytheism to believe that all three are distinct beings if you only recognize one as the Father? How silly. And and that is part of it, right? I don't know how they get the Trinity and claim it being biblical. I don't understand that. I know the rationale and the history was to unify the faith. And there were problems with early Christian churches overemphasizing the divinity of Christ, denying the mortal version, and other parts that were too into the mortal Christ and had trouble accepting and grasping the eternal Christ, his divinity. And I think the Trinity was a way to try and bridge and make some happy and alienate others. Without a doubt, the Trinity is set up to alienate some of the early churches. The Gnostics, the Montanists, the Arians. This might be something we get into later. That looks like it could be fun. And then Bueller-Ferris, you have confirmation bias. Anything will strengthen your faith in these cult leaders. It's just the man who makes an argument without substantive argumentation and proof. Bueller, I hope you're a nice guy, but where's the confirmation bias? What proof do you have that anything will strengthen faith in cult leaders? Just saying a thing don't make it true, bro. And then Catherine says, I'm glad you're back. I'm exhausted from the trolls. Catherine, I am too. I am too. And you know what? Let's go back and look at this one. I think it's been edited. This looks semi-familiar. This is going back to the Wilders. And this is again from Bueller-Ferris. This looks familiar, but it looks different than what I was thinking. So I was on my mission with her son Micah in Orlando when he was going through his transition. I lived very close to Micah throughout my mission, and I lived close to the Wilders when I was back from my mission. Okay, so Bueller, you have some sort of relationship with the Wilders. And so apparently you served with Micah. I can say from experience their stories are very legit and there are no holes in their story. Except Bueller, and apparently your LDS, or were, since you were on a mission with Micah, there's no legitimacy to anything she says. She sets up a straw man. It's the worst, weakest of all arguments. She's scared to read the Bible? All LDS are taught to be afraid of the Bible? That's patently ridiculous on its face. Okay, I can say from experience their stories are very legit. Again, no, they're not. No. You're just trying to tear them down so you can feel better about your shrinking cult that was just fined by the SEC for being dishonest. See, there's the straw man. Everything was filed. No assets were hidden. No assets were hidden. Taxes were filed on everything. The paperwork was done wrong. No dishonesty. Now, if you want to say they're being dishonest in their not wanting to reveal what all their holdings were to the public, that's your version. It's not mine. But okay. I won't fight you on that. I'll just be like, okay, agree to disagree. It's an opinion. Maybe focus on your cult's dishonesty before you're projecting it on the Wilders. As far as what you said about the Old Testament and New Testament being taught in seminary and Sunday school, what is taught is a very whitewashed version in which they force the LDS narrative on it, Cross-reference Bible verses with Joseph Smith's myths, made-up scriptures, and Mormon leaders' quotes. What whitewashed version of the Bible do we preach and teach? Yes, 99% of the church uses the King James, but no one's discouraged from the New International or any of the American letter. No one's discouraged from any other version of the Bible. We read through it. And I would say, quite frankly, that very few people go through the conferences and things to see what the prophets are saying about these scriptures. They're reading them and coming in with their own opinions and ideas. Maybe they're jumping in with something they heard some prophet say years ago. Let's see here. With the internet, the Mormon fraud has been completely exposed. Has it? Prove it. I would disagree. See, again, a statement without base. You want Lynn to be easily dismissed, but your arguments are full of straw men and ad hominem attacks. I never attacked her. I merely pointed out her straw man arguments, her ad hominem attacks. That was the extent of anything I did. Because again, as I said in the video, anyone watching this who attends church even semi-regularly will recognize that she's full of it. And she's got a captive audience of people that know nothing about the LDS Church. And she's feeding them things, and of course they're going to believe it. I'm not strawmanning her. I'm revealing the strawman in her. I'm revealing the ad hominem in her. She's the one speaking. I'm just going, and there it is, folks. You see how dumb that is? That's all I'm doing. She wouldn't dare get on stage with me. And I'm the least of the people she needs to worry about. Like, honestly, there are so many people that know more than I do. Many of you people. But Bueller. You can't defend her because she's got no defense. If you're being honest, even you have to realize, yeah, no. She's serving up a plate of mess. I transitioned away from Christianity as well, so it's not like I have any conflict of interest. So you're an atheist now. So you're on your mission, you're an atheist. Okay. But regardless of how now I differ in beliefs from them, the Wilders are amazing people. I never knocked what kind of people they were. At least not intentionally. But I did knock the things they were saying about the church because they're just patently not true. I know them personally. I know how much they love other people. They can love other people. I don't doubt that. I'm sure they think what they're doing is out of love. The hotel they own is rated one of the best ones in the Orlando area because of the type of service they offer, and that ties it to their Christian beliefs. Good. They run a clean hotel. Did I ever say that all of their business dealings were going to be shady? Did I ever say they couldn't run a prosperous business? No, I did not. Micah's dad still has a lot of business in Utah amongst Mormons because they know how honest he is. You're making a blanket character statement. If he's running a business, if he's doing business because he's honest, good. I have no problem with him doing business. Do business. Do good business. But that has nothing to do with the fact that Lynn Wilder gets up on stage and makes straw man arguments. Nothing to do with the fact. Their hotel, the dad's business, none of that has anything to do with the fact that they make straw man arguments about the church. And the non-members out there think what they're getting is gospel truth. And it's just they're getting ridiculously wild speculative stories. You're getting children's tales. It's clear you're incredibly ignorant of the Wilders and what they stand for, and I'm not going to sit quietly while you smear their name. Again, I smeared no name. I simply said, listen to what this woman says. It is ridiculous. You ought to be sued for slander. I never slandered them. Honestly. I mean, good luck. You know, it's not like you're not allowed to have honest discourse. It's not allowed. Like she's put herself up on stage. She has said things, as has Micah. It's not a matter of who they are. It's a matter of what they say. You know you've got nothing there. You're being ridiculous and you're being hyperbolic. Seriously, Bueller Ferris. I know if the Wilders watch this, they would likely take the high road and forgive you, for you know not what you do. But I will stand up for my friends, and everything you said about Lynn and the Wilders is BS. Again, I said nothing about the Wilders other than they clearly never practiced the church in totality, in reality. She's ignorant of the scriptures. She's ignorant of what goes on in church. Seriously, the things she said. Show this video to any practicing LDS member and they'll look at it and they'll be like, really? I don't need to create straw man arguments against her. I don't need to slander their family. I just need to show the video and be like, see, folks, here's what these people are getting from former Mormons. And this is why they look at us the way they do. That's all that video was. And you're doing it for a cult with a history of being dishonest and fraudulent. No. And seriously, do better. And then Catherine replied, clear you've never read the Book of Mormon with real intent. Don't be a knee whore. And then Green Tea just gave 3 laughs. I mean, seriously. Like, Bueller, do better. Come with something. I mean, come on, man. I'm assuming, man, since you're Ferris, Bueller. But you've got nothing here. Be honest. What she said about the church in that video I showed, it's complete nonsense. We can disagree on what the scriptures say and mean. We can disagree on doctrine. But when she says they teach the Mormons to be afraid of the Bible, she's full of it. She's delusional. She's lost. She's fill in the blank with whatever adjective you prefer. But she's not selling a true bill of goods. And that's all that is. Let me see here. Do we have anything else? It says I've got comments. They're blue. They haven't been read. And yet, I can't see them. I don't know why that is. Anybody know why that is? Do any of you have a channel? Anyway, it looks like Ferris just kind of repost the same comment in a few other videos. And he's more than welcome to do that. Brothers and sisters, there it is. I mean, there's your mentality. How dare you be mean? Notwithstanding the fact that she's lying about us, that these people tell lies. And if they're not lying, it's like it goes back to section 123 in that other video, right? For Plato's Cave. That they're blinded. They're blinded by the subtle craftiness of men and know not where to find truth. And that's my problem with the Wilders. They would be those who, when it comes to the LDS Church, they're blinding others. They are. And if they really believe the stuff they're saying, then they really never attended a sacrament meeting or a Sunday school. Or if they did, they were busy scrapbooking updating organizers or something. I don't know. But there's no way you can walk out of an LDS church onto that stage in Calvary, Boise, and say the things she did and mean them. There's just no way. Not if you're coherent and awake. As far as their businesses, I don't care about their businesses. I hope they succeed in business. I don't want them to be broke and poor and destitute. But when it comes to talking about the LDS Church, hey, look, if you don't like it, be honest about why you don't like it. Don't make stuff up, and that's what she did. And it's just patently obvious. It's patently obvious. I mean, and Bueller, I hope you reach out. I hope you decide you want to talk about this. Because people need to hear what you really think when questioned and pushed a little bit. And they need to hear what I think when I'm questioned and pushed. Hooray! That's honest discourse. And there's nothing to be ashamed or afraid of. Anyway, brothers and sisters, that's it. This week's comments are done. I thank you. I hope you like what's coming out this week. And Samuel St. Laurent, I think that's a good idea about coming up with some of the terminology used by other churches. I think that's a great idea. Well, until later, peace out. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Peace.